What is going on, guys? Winterkills here. Welcome to a brand new post-commentary duel video. It's been a couple days since the last one, but I recently was able to sit down and record quite a few feature matches, or just matches for you guys, involving some different decks. We have Shaddoll Trains here on the left versus Photon Galaxy. I actually just recently picked up Shaddoll Trains because all the new support is finally out, and I've played the deck in the past. As you guys know, I played it many years ago. Several deck profiles and duels with that from like maybe 2017 or 2016. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm a long time fan of Shaddoll Trains, and it's good to have the deck back in my hands, and to be able to play it again with the new support. So yeah, this is a really good match. I hope you guys enjoy it. And also, real quick shout out to our sponsor at Imperium Duelists, providing awesome gaming accessories for anything from like sleeves, effect sleeves, non-effect sleeves, dice, this mat here that we're using, one of many beautiful play mats they have on their website, cloth 2-player mats if you want to check it out, and how to get 10% off on some of these items. You can go down to the description below and use that discount code to save 10% off on future purchases if you'd like. This mat here we're using is the Tour Guide play mat, designed by Tom Box himself from MST TV. By the way, I did a guest commentary feature again on his channel, so if you guys want to check that out, I'll leave it annotated at the end of the video. So feel free to check that out. It was a really fun guest commentary. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I go turn 1, normal shenanigans with Photon Galaxy, ending Soul Flare number 90, and set 2, I believe set 1, because I don't think I actually end up having that other card set, and I know it'll look kind of weird at the time being. I even checked the sets there, but I randomly pick up one of the set cards. I don't know why, I just kind of do. Anyways, he's going to go ahead and get started with Urgent Schedule, which is one of the new cards from Sisters of the Rose for trade support. Basically, if your opponent controls more monsters than you, I believe is how it's worded, you can special summon a level 5 or lower and a level 5 or higher like Earth Machine from your deck. Their effects are negated to come out in defense. So of course he's going to go for Ruffian Railcar and the Bullet Express chain, because that's an easy link too, and he gets those 2 effects to proc in grave for end phase of both Ruffian Railcar and the Bullet Express. Now having Clifford Genius, and on the summon of Clifford Genius, he can actually trigger the effect of Derek Crane in his hand, because an Earth Machine was special summoned, and he's going to go ahead and summon the other Bullet Express train from his hand, because all monsters he controls are Earth, so he can just go ahead and special summon that pretty much for free, which is really nice. Really nice card. And I don't think he ends up leaving the Bullet Express in defense. I think that's just one of those cards that's better to summon in attack mode, even though it can't always attack. I think it's just better since it has 0 defense and 3k attack. So I use Soul Flare to clear the Derek Crane there, because I don't want him to go into rank 10. And you see I pick up that other set card. Again, I'm not sure why I did that. I think maybe I just didn't want to set it in the first place. End phase comes around, and I go ahead and hit that Ruffian Railcar, so he doesn't get a search from deck. But he is able to add one back from grave via the Bullet Express train, because that is effective to add back a machine monster from grave during the end phase. And Ruffian Railcar searches a level 10 Earth Machine from deck. So those 2 cards combined help recycle a lot of resources with trains now. And one of the reasons that I'm really excited to play it, because not only can it just OTK your face off and play through a bunch of cards, like, it has the ability to recoup its resources in the end phase, like, really well, just because of Bullet Train and Ruffian Railcar. Those 2 cards can easily help get like a Night Express Knight to your hand, or a Derek Crane to your hand, both of them combined even to your hand during your end phase, to help you set up just to go again for next turn. And here we have Clifford Genius on his side of the field with Bullet Train, which is a really unique interaction, because had he thought about it, technically he could have used Clifford Genius' effect to negate Express Knight and another card in my field to allow Bullet Express to just attack with that 3000 attack, which is really interesting. There's a nice interaction that I found with it. So I decide to, instead of attacking for 6k, I get a little greedy, and I decide to link into Soul Flare to grab back Knight. Unfortunately, he has a call by the grave. In hindsight, I should have attacked with the full Armor Dragon and the Soul Flare for 6k. But again, he could have had another Urgent Schedule set that could have run into some plans as things I thought about, but apparently I didn't think about the called by. So I end up just going Soul Flare, equipping it with Orbital to swing for 25, and I lose my Galaxy Knight for that turn. And because I think I drew into another Galaxy Knight off of Desires, which is really unfortunate. I could have summoned it, but it would have been negated because of Called By, but, you know, these things happen sometimes, just a little unlucky circumstance. He's going to go ahead and summon Exodius, recycling all the monsters in his graveyard to put that into defense mode, basically just trying to wall up at this point. I think that Called By the turn probably hurt him. The fact that the Ruffian Railcar wasn't able to get him some extra resources at level 10 from Earth, level 10 Earth from deck, probably would have helped him out there to help complete a rank 10 play in some way, shape, or form. Maybe a Shaddoll Fusion would have been really nice here, because of course we are playing Shaddoll Trains, and I think the Shaddoll engine works very, very well in here. Knight's going to attempt to activate, grab that Galaxy Eyes, that's going to get negated, so the summon will not happen, but Galaxy Knight will still go down to 18, because the attack still drops whether or not Galaxy Eyes is summoned. So it'll take another 2k or 2500 to the face, I would believe, because Soul Flare is being boosted by Orbital by 2500. And now Galaxy Knight is at 2800 attack, because that attack boost only lasts in the end phase, and that's why he thought he could crash here, but he couldn't. So instead of just normaling that Ruffian Railcar, he is going to just pass and set it, unfortunately. And I'm going to flip up Photon Sanctuary here, and that's basically going to seal the deal for Game 1. Game 1 kind of got a little out of control. I could have taken a lot more advantage just by attacking with, you know, full armor and Soul Flare. But I let things drag on a little bit by getting a little greedy, and luckily I'm still able to come away with the win because he just did not have the best draws there when he needed them. So he'll be going first this time around, in fear of my first turn setup, which actually has been proving him in testing to be quite a bit of a difficult thing to get around. Although you saw him deal with the number 90 Soul Flare pretty well there, I would say. Probably could have dealt with it a little better given some certain plays. Maybe trying to use Cliff Genius to bait out a negation from number 90. But he's going to go ahead and get started with Terraforming for the Revolving Switchyard. That's going to allow him to get a search, and then he's going to use Pegasus to revive Ruffian Railcar to go into a Link 2. Cliff Genius, that's going to trigger Derek Crane from hand, and then he's going to go ahead and special summon the Bolt Express Train from hand as well, and go right into a number 81, and that will allow him to make that monster pretty much unaffected by card effects by detaching, and he's got Derek Crane underneath it, so he could possibly pop a card on my field as well, and just all around a pretty defensive setup here. My brother's still pretty new to Shaddoll Trains. I picked it up recently, and he played Shaddoll in the past when it was pretty much at full power, and he's just really interested in the deck, so he's getting to learn it right now. I've been playing it a lot on stream. It's just a super fun deck to play all around. I think anybody could probably pick it up. I think it's I think it's one of those decks that could probably be picked up for maybe under 120 bucks. Pretty cheap all around. Definitely a really fun deck for anybody to kind of pick up and learn if they wanted to. I would highly recommend it, especially with all the new support. You can play it with Kaijus, you can play it with Shaddolls, all these things. So I get Galaxy Brave on field for Advancer, or not Advancer, we don't have Advancer yet, but Vanisher for a Galaxy Eyes, and then Orbital comes down to grab a Galaxy Soldier from deck to hand. I still got to be a little careful here because he can still at any time just make his number 81 unaffected without having any opposition here to be able to destroy a card. So I don't know exactly if that is his game plan at the moment, because Photon Galaxy can be a pretty tricky matchup. A lot of the times I can get a play started, I could have it interrupted, and then I could keep it going, so to speak. So here, if he would have, done that early to pop one of the cards I had already, maybe first seeing a rank 4 play, he could have destroyed one of them, but then I can still go into Soul Flare. I think ideally what he should have done here is probably use number 81 at that given point on the summon of the Galaxy Knight, to be able to clear that Galaxy Knight so a rank 8 play isn't possible. And then I still have a rank 5 play as well, I should say. Which I'm not playing Cyber Dragon Infinity. I know some people are going to be like, why not? It's just to save extra deck space at the end of the day, and I think it works fine. I still haven't lost a game because I haven't played Cyber Dragon Infinity. Those games have only come to losing because they just opened bad, or the opponent was just playing a way far superior deck. I think at the end of the day, Cyber Dragon Infinity doesn't really make too big of a deal. He lets me go into Infinity, or he lets me go into Pleiades and number 90, and I'm able to attack over Clifford Genius with Pleiades. So it's just kind of a stalemate here. I was thinking about going into Cypher Dragon to try to steal it, or link it away or something, or do something else with it. But I decided not to, and just decide to sort of wall up normally, make basically a going first board with going second, do minimal damage to him. You see, only takes 700 over top of that, that Clifford Genius. But he's still at this point, and regardless whether I leave that Clifford Genius there, has the opportunity to make another free rank 10 in any zone. So now he's going to start his turn by discarding Ruffian Railcar off of the revolving switchyard to add a level 10 Earth Machine from his deck to his hand. He's going to add the Heavy Freight Train Derek Crane. And now, basically, all he's got to worry about is a bounce, a potential interruption from Soul Flare, and a monster negation from number 90, who number 90 also at this point cannot be destroyed by card effects because he does have a Photon monster underneath him. So that could prove to be a pretty big problem, as I know Derek Crane is a main form of removal for this deck, and if that cannot get the job done, there's got to be other methods that he's got to be able to take advantage of. So I make a bit of a weird play here, admittedly. I'm so used to using Soul Flare, before my opponent goes. Sometimes I'll go battle phase, and I'll be like, before you leave main phase 1, I'll chain Soul Flare. But at this time, I do that same thing, but I use it in a different way. So he goes to attack, and before he declares leaving his main phase, I'm going to, use Pleiades to bounce. And then he's going to detach to make him unaffected, and then I'm going to chain number 90 to negate that effect in general. But of course, he still gets to detach for cost, and he'll get to detach Derek Crane, and he's going to remove Pleiades, interestingly enough, instead of Soul Flare Dragon. So like, that is something I probably should have just let him go into battle phase 4, but I decided not to, because I figured I'd be best to keep him out of battle phase so I could use Soul Flare. But he ended up not destroying it anyway, so this sort of played out a little bit interestingly there. So he's going to go Urgent Schedule, still in main phase 1, because he technically never left it, because I had a response before he left main phase 1 and decided not to continue into battle. So he's going to Urgent Schedule and summon out Pegasus and summon out the Bullet Express train, and go right into Lanfrancus, which I don't think he ends up doing. He could just easily link those into the grave for a Link 2 play and, proc that Bullet Express train in the end phase, but deciding to, in response to the summon of Urgent Schedule, go for Derek Crane. Now, speaking of Urgent Schedule, you guys have seen him have Clifford Genius on his field quite a few times already. Clifford Genius and Urgent Schedule play so well together, because if you summon both those targets into the zone that it points to, you get a free search. It's really nice. But like, also there, I have the Soul Flare effect to detach. I'm thinking it's fine that he didn't go to battle phase. I'm like, there's no way he can get into another rank 10. I destroy a card, and then he's got a Night Express Knight on top of that. Burns me for 2,000, and then boosts that Juggernaut leave up to 6k to swing over both of my monsters. I'm taking 4,000 over Soul Flare, and he's able to run over number 90, no problem. End phase, getting some searches here off of Bullet Express and Ruffian Railcar. So he's pretty much fueled for next turn, and he's got his field spell up, and it's just looking really good for him at this point. So I go ahead, I have to normal summon Orbital, unfortunately, to be able to get my Vanisher on board, to be able to search that Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Now I have a couple options here. I can go into Soul Flare, or I can go into Starlight Photon Blast Dragon, which I do end up doing because I want to have that protection from targeting. I want to get this Galaxy Eyes on my field. I don't think I have I did have a Knight Engrave, but the thing is, I couldn't normal summon it this turn, so that's why I ended up going this route. I could have, of course, easily linked, Vanisher and Orbital into Soul Flare to add back Knight, but then I just have a Soul Flare in field that can't really do anything, because I don't have, at that point, I would have had a Galaxy Eyes hand, I believe, but like, with the extra cards he has in hand, like, he could just force Battle Phase on me, and I'm in a pretty bad spot. So, here's another interesting thing. He goes into Attack Declaration, and I chain Blast Dragon to revive Galaxy Eyes from grave. Now, had he anticipated this, he could have detached, you know, the Bolt Express from the Juggernaut to gain an additional 2,000 attack, putting it to 8,000, and negating that Galaxy Eyes, so it allowed him to attack over that. But at that point, I don't think it would have gained the additional attack because it has no materials. I'm not sure exactly how that would have worked. But either way, he's just going to be able to clear the Blast Dragon. And now main phase 2, potentially going to link away here, the Pegasus and the Juggernaut. Nope, doesn't look like he's going to. But yeah, so I was thinking, like, since he did technically have the opportunity to call by that Galaxy Eyes, the battle and banish effect of Galaxy Eyes would no longer be a threat to him in this battle phase, which sort of was, because there's no way, even if it was that 6,000 attack, he's getting over Galaxy Eyes in the battle phase. That's one of the nice things about Galaxy Eyes. I top deck the Soul Charge with like 2,000 life points left here. I bring back Galaxy Eyes, link those two away into Soul Flare. Now we're going to go ahead and get this play started. Grab back Galaxy Knight. And go and get Galaxy Eyes from grave with Knight. Now, I'm going to have 1,000. I don't have a battle phase this turn, so I decided to go for Cypher Dragon. Cypher Dragon's going to detach here to grab that Juggernaut Leave and bring it over to my side of the field and go ahead and take it, essentially. I'm just checking there to make sure, like, I don't know if it would take the materials too, but I figured it did anyways because they're still attached to the monster. I go into full armor to clear his field spell, detaching the Juggernaut. Now, I didn't want to go into, I should say I should have went into Cypher Blade there to clear the Pegasus on board, because if you would have had any other way to get a rank 10 on field, just like you see there with the Shaddoll Fusion, being able to fuse from deck, which poses a couple problems. You know, I could have possibly made it a little bit harder for him to get into a rank 10, but he already has so many resources in hand that one extra clear wouldn't have mattered. And yes, you could have also argued that I do put a Cypher Dragon in grave in case Cypher Blade does die. That's a potential revive to block more damage. But at this point, it's also just another way for me to put more monsters on field for him to just attack over with Juggernaut Leave at 6,000. And the fact that I'm at 1,000 anyways is a big red flag, because all it takes from this point is to get into a rank 10. So he goes Derek Crane, and at this point I have like an option or two here. I have the ability to potentially use Soul Flare, right, to destroy something, which could risk being negated by Soul Flare, but I only have one card left in hand, and I believe it's Galaxy Trance, which is completely dead at this point. And he's just able to go into battle phase and do the damage he needs to do over top of Soul Flare, which is unfortunate. You can't turn Soul Flare to defense, which is just an unfortunate side effect. And it's able to allow him to clear that damage there that he needs to. I had to Soul Charge there, or I'm in an even worse off position, so I think that's just how that plays out anyways. So probably both of us could have made a little bit of different plays there, but that's just sort of how it ended up playing out. So I get started with Thrasher into Vanisher, then into Pot of Desires to draw 2 after a trade-in play. So I did a little bit of searching before I ended up using that Desire, so I would cut the risk in half, if you will, of losing some cards that I need later on. And luckily, all my Desires this game were like fantastic. I never really banished anything that hurt me too much. Even you saw, I think it was game 1 where I might have double Desired, or maybe it's this game, but either way, it just ended up, all the Desires ended up helping me out so much. So I recommend playing Desires in this deck along with Trade-in, because I think it's just a necessary evil, and I think the deck needs it. So Soul Flare coming out now, getting to add back a monster from grave, normal summon Knight, and bring out that Galaxy Eyes, go right into number 90. And now we have sort of a similar setup that we had game 1, which was basically, you know, Soul Flare and number 90. But this time I also have an extra Galaxy Eyes and a set card. Draw phase comes around. I'm going to use that number 90 to go ahead and search. I believe there's no other Galaxy Eyes in deck at this point for me. Because I think I banished one off of the Desires. And I have one on field and one underneath number 90. So I had to add a Galaxy Soldier from deck to hand, I believe, because I'm thinking ahead at this point, because if I use Soul Flare, I want to have I'm going to have to discard 2 at this point, and if I'm going to put something in grave, I want it to be Galaxy Soldier so I can possibly grab it back later with a future Soul Flare play. So I was thinking about, you know, a little bit ahead of myself there. He opens up Instant Fusion, which is one of the main removal, you know, cards that I play in the deck for trains, and it ends up working pretty well. He uses Thousand Eyes to try to take number 90. I just go ahead and negate it, so he gets that negation out of the way, but still has to worry about a potential Soul Flare effect, and he also has to worry about a potential Call by the Grave set or anything else of that nature. But yeah, one of the few I shouldn't say few. Couple removal cards that I play in the deck currently are Instant Fusion, Jizukiru, and I'm playing Barrage Blast, the trap card. I'm experimenting with it because I think it's a great card to discard off the field spell, and also when you have a card like Juggernaut Leap, after it's already used its effect, or any other card, you can just play it, detach all the materials from your monster, and then just blow up a bunch of cards on your opponent's side of the field. It's sort of like a pseudo Fire Lake, if you ask me, because a lot of times you do have leftover materials to detach, and I think that card could be really, really helpful in certain situations. So that's why I'm considering playing it. I'm playing it at 1 right now. Might even jump it up to 3 just to experiment with it because I think it is a really solid card for the deck. Squamata go ahead and activates there. I know at this point he's probably going to send Dragon, so I just called by anyways. You know, hindsight's 2020. I probably should just let him send the Dragon and then call by it, but he wasn't sure what he was going to send at that point either, so because he did send a little early, little did he know that I had a response, so I use the Soul Flare here before he leaves main phase 1, and he had a Shaddoll in hand, which is unlucky for me, so Shek is able to negate that, and he gets a draw. He gets to send Beast, which gets him a draw, which gets him to Upstart, which gets him another draw, so he gets to take 2 cards down, and puts him a little further ahead here. So I had to take a little gamble there because he was going to run over Soul Flare anyways, so I had to use that effect. You know, it's a use it or lose it. Sort of had to call his bluff, see if he actually did have a Shaddoll in hand, and unfortunately he did, so I do lose that Soul Flare to the Shekanaga effect to negate, and then he's going to normal summon Railroad Stampede, use it to copy the level of Shekanaga, and go into a number 81, and since he never left main phase 1 technically, he's still able to attack and clear number 90, and he's going to pass it over to me. So I could do a couple things here if this wasn't a number 81. I could just go into battle phase, and on attack declaration I could use the effect of Galaxy Eyes to battle and banish, but of course you could just make it unaffected and get it detached of either the Pegasus or Shek to grab back, you know, a Shaddoll Fusion. So I'm in kind of a weird spot at this point, I would say. Checking, you know, my deck right now for a target off of that orbital. I go for Vanisher. I have no Galaxy Eyes left in deck, so I'm not going to be able to use the effect of Vanisher on summon there. Just using it for Link fodder at this point, going into Soul Flare. So happy I play triple Soul Flare because it does come up a lot. You go through Soul Flares like crazy, so I highly recommend playing 3 Soul Flare to begin with. Here I could go into like Boral Sword, but again, Boral Sword really doesn't do a whole lot in the way of dealing with number 81. It just doesn't. I wish it did, but like number 81 is just such a huge roadblock for me. I have to be able to set up some sort of way of double negations, and unfortunately Soul Flare's discard effect to destroy is only during your opponent's main phase, so it's just one of these positions where I gotta try to deal with it a different way, and this is how I end up going for it. I go for Cipher Blade to bait out that the protection effect. Otherwise I get to take that number 81 and I go right up into full Armor Dragon, who has that 4,000 attack, and I'm able to run over that for 800, and then I swing directly for 2,000, putting him to 4,200. Top deck's a Terraforming. And also, one thing I should have done here is go into Cipher Blade to clear that back row of his, detaching the Cipher Blade Dragon, you know, the regular Cipher Dragon, so in case that did die, I would get that revival effect. Again, hindsight's 2020. There's a lot of things I'm noticing now, rewatching this duel, but overall, while we were playing, I couldn't help but think, like, this is a really good duel. It's been a while since I played out, you know, a full 3-game match, where just everything was like back and forth. Wasn't really a blowout either way. So he goes ahead and discards Railcar to grab Derek Crane. I think he might have forgot a Railcar Surge the last turn. I'm not entirely sure. That's why that Railcar was sideways in the graveyard there, in case there was no way to forget that. I'm not entirely sure though. But either way, Shaddoll Fusion, allowing to fuse from deck, going for Shek, and sending a Bullet Express Train, so that will get him a search at end phase, or an add back at end phase, I should say. And he's sending Hedgehog, which is going to add a Shaddoll card, Shaddoll monster from his deck to hand, so he has Dragon now, and that is a potential way to negate. Now, I'm not sure the way the chain links work, if I would be able to, like, chain something to the Squamata or the Hedgehog and be able to destroy Shek before that card gets to his hand, technically. I'm not entirely sure how that works. If somebody has a way to sort of clear that up, that would help, or I could ask a judge friend of mine and see how that would work. I just didn't know how the chain links would interact, so I do it here afterwards, after everything resolves, and it does get negated, of course. And then he normals, you know, Express Knight and summons Derek Crane. He could have summoned the Derek Crane on the summon of the Shek anyways, but it has the, you know, the Knight Express play anyways. So there, he clears the my whole field basically and swings him for 6k. Yeah, this is probably where having that Cypher Blade or the regular Cypher Dragon in defense would have helped out so much. I wouldn't have taken as much damage, but luckily the upstart is keeping me alive anyways. And even if I did have Cypher Dragon on field right now, I get to trade in, and I have to trade in just because I have no way to get, you know, Knight on board, and I draw into nothing good. So I think either way, Shaddoll Trains takes it very closely. Could have probably gone a different way, considering a few things, but at the end of the day, even if I did destroy the Shek with Soul Flare before technically that Shaddoll card got to his hand, he did have a Knight Express Knight play into Derek Crane, allowing him to go into Gustav Max and then Juggernaut Lead for a game, essentially. So at the end of the day, it did not matter a whole lot. But yeah, that's going to do it for this match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I've got like 5 other matches or so coming down the line for you guys. DDD versus Shaddoll, Mech Knight versus Shaddoll Trains, Mermail versus Invoke Mech Knight, DDD versus Mermail, and possibly a Spellbooks versus Orcust duel that I might re-record doing post-Dark Neostorm stuff, so I'm not sure. I have a pre-Savage Strike duel with Orcust versus Spellbooks, but again, I don't know if I want to upload that because it's just, I feel like it's time to start. If I do anything Orcust related, it's best to just do it post or Savage Strike or Dark Neostorm. So anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Don't forget to check out Imperium Duelist. Check out that feature match I did with Tombox. It'll be annotated in just a few seconds from now on the screen. You can click on it. It'll take you right to it. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Lunakill signing out.